The autumn night of October 15, 2001, was perfect for astronomical observation at the Mount Wilson Observatory in California. The sky above the San Gabriel Mountains was crystalline clear, unmarked by clouds, with atmospheric turbulence at near-record lows. For astronomers, these were the conditions they dreamed of, nights when the universe seemed to lean closer to Earth, offering its secrets to those patient enough to watch and listen. Marcus Chen had been waiting for such a night for months. At 24, he was the youngest researcher ever granted solo observation time at Mount Wilson, a privilege earned through his groundbreaking work in theoretical astrophysics at Caltech. Marcus possessed that rare combination of mathematical brilliance and intuitive understanding that marked truly exceptional scientists. His doctoral thesis on quantum gravitational effects in deep space had already attracted attention from NASA and the European Space Agency. Marcus was a second-generation Chinese-American, born in San Francisco to parents who had immigrated in the 1970s, seeking better opportunities in academia. His father, Dr. James Chen, was a professor of theoretical physics at UC Berkeley, while his mother, Dr. Liu Wei Chen, specialized in applied mathematics at Stanford. Growing up in a household where scientific discussion was as common as talk about the weather, Marcus had been solving calculus problems before most children learned long division. But despite his intellectual gifts, Marcus remained refreshingly humble and curious about the world beyond equations and formulas. He was known for his infectious enthusiasm about astronomy, his ability to explain complex concepts in simple terms, and his habit of working through the night when he was pursuing an interesting problem. His colleagues at Caltech often joked that Marcus operated on cosmic time rather than Earth time, completely losing track of day and night when he was absorbed in his research. The research that had brought Marcus to Mount Wilson that October night was both ambitious and controversial. For the past 6 months, he had been investigating what he called gravitational anomalies in deep space, regions where the behavior of light and matter seemed to deviate slightly from established physical laws. Using data from multiple observatories around the world, Marcus had identified 17 locations in the observable universe where something strange was happening. "It's like finding wrinkles in the fabric of space-time itself," Marcus had explained to his thesis advisor, Dr. Patricia Morgan, just days before his planned observation session. "The mathematics suggest that these aren't random phenomena. They're too precisely positioned, too symmetrical to be natural. It's almost as if someone or something is manipulating the fundamental structure of reality." Dr. Morgan, a respected astronomer with 30 years of experience, had been initially skeptical of Marcus's theories. The implications were staggering. If Marcus was correct, it would mean that intelligent forces were at work on a cosmic scale, actively modifying the laws of physics in specific regions of space. Such ideas pushed the boundaries of scientific credibility, venturing into territory that many would consider science fiction rather than legitimate research. But Marcus's mathematical models were rigorous, and his data analysis was flawless. When Dr. Morgan ran independent calculations using Marcus's methodology, she reached the same impossible conclusions. Something was indeed happening in those 17 locations, something that challenged everything the scientific community thought it knew about the universe. The Mount Wilson observation was intended to be Marcus's definitive test of his theories. Using the observatory's 100-inch Hooker telescope, the same instrument that had allowed Edwin Hubble to discover the expansion of the universe, Marcus planned to focus on the nearest of the 17 anomalous regions. If his calculations were correct, the anomaly should become more active during certain astronomical alignments, producing detectable changes in the behavior of nearby stars and galaxies. Marcus arrived at Mount Wilson at sunset on October 15th, driving his aging Honda Civic up the winding mountain roads, with the back seat packed full of custom electronics and computer equipment. The observatory staff knew him well from previous visits, a young man who treated the historic telescopes with reverent care, while pushing them to their absolute limits of precision and sensitivity. The night shift supervisor, Robert Hayes, helped Marcus set up his equipment in the dome housing the Hooker telescope. Hayes had worked at Mount Wilson for over 20 years and had assisted hundreds of astronomers, but he was impressed by Marcus's thorough preparation and obvious expertise. "You really think you're going to find little green men out there?" Hayes asked with good-natured skepticism as they aligned the telescope's optics. Marcus smiled at the familiar joke. "Not little green men," he replied, adjusting a delicate piece of equipment. but maybe evidence that intelligence exists on scales we've never imagined. The universe is stranger than we think, Mr. Hayes. Maybe stranger than we can think. The observation session was scheduled to run from sunset to sunrise, with Marcus working alone in the dome while Hayes monitored systems from the main building. This arrangement was standard procedure for experienced researchers. The telescopes were equipped with safety systems and communication links that allowed for immediate assistance if problems arose. As night fell and the stars became visible, Marcus began his careful process of calibrating instruments and positioning the telescope. His target was a region of space in the constellation Cygnus, approximately 2,400 light-years from Earth, where his calculations suggested one of the strongest gravitational anomalies was located. Hayes checked on Marcus at 10:30 p.m., finding the young astronomer completely absorbed in his work, surrounded by computer screens displaying real-time data from the telescope. Everything appeared normal, and Marcus reported that the initial readings were promising. He was detecting subtle but measurable variations in the gravitational field, exactly as his theories predicted. "This is incredible," Marcus told Hayes excitedly. "The anomaly is active tonight. I'm getting readings that shouldn't be possible according to conventional physics. If I can record this for another few hours, I'll have enough data to revolutionize our understanding of how the universe works." Hayes left Marcus to his work, making a note in the logbook that the observation was proceeding successfully. The night was calm and clear, with no weather concerns or equipment problems to worry about. At 2:15 a.m., Hayes performed his routine check-in by radio. "Marcus, how are you doing up there? Need anything from the main building?" There was no response. Hayes tried the radio again, thinking perhaps Marcus was too focused on his instruments to hear the first call. Still no answer. Concerned but not yet alarmed, astronomers often became so absorbed in their work that they ignored everything else. Hayes decided to walk up to the dome and check on Marcus personally. The 10-minute walk through the crisp mountain air was peaceful, with no unusual sounds or signs of disturbance. But when Hayes entered the telescope dome, he found something that would haunt him for the rest of his life. The dome was empty. Marcus was nowhere to be seen. All of Marcus's equipment was still running, computer screens glowing with streams of data, the telescope still pointing toward the target coordinates in Cygnus. Marcus's jacket hung on a chair. His coffee mug sat half-empty on a desk, and his car keys lay beside his notebook, which contained detailed observations written in his precise handwriting. The final entry was time-stamped 2:03 a.m. and read, "Anomaly reaching maximum intensity. Gravitational distortion increasing exponentially. This is beyond anything I anticipated. The mathematics suggest—" The sentence ended mid-word, as if Marcus had been interrupted while writing. Hayes searched the dome thoroughly, calling Marcus's name and checking every possible hiding place. The dome was a self-contained structure with only one entrance, and Hayes would have seen anyone leaving during his walk up from the main building. The telescope platform was 60 feet above the ground with no way to climb down except through the dome's interior. Marcus Chen had simply vanished, as completely and inexplicably as if he had never existed. Hayes immediately called the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, reporting a missing person at the Mount Wilson Observatory. Deputies arrived within an hour, followed by detectives and search and rescue teams. By dawn, the mountain was swarming with law enforcement personnel conducting a massive search operation. Detective Lisa Martinez, who led the investigation, interviewed Hayes extensively about the night's events. The timeline was clear and troubling. Marcus had been present and actively working at 2:03 a.m. based on his notebook entry, but had vanished completely by 2:15 a.m. when Hayes attempted radio contact. "Is there any way Mr. Chen could have left the dome without you seeing him?" Detective Martinez asked. Hayes shook his head firmly. "Impossible. There's only one way in or out, and I was watching the building the entire time I walked up from the main facility. Nobody came out of that dome." The physical evidence supported Hayes's account. There were no signs of struggle in the dome, no indication that Marcus had been forced to leave against his will. His personal belongings, including his wallet containing several $100s in cash, remained untouched. The dome's door showed no signs of forced entry or tampering. Most puzzling of all, Marcus's equipment continued running throughout the night, automatically recording data from the telescope. When investigators examined the recordings, they found 8 hours of continuous astronomical observations, with no gaps or interruptions. If Marcus had been abducted or had left voluntarily, who had continued operating his sophisticated equipment? The FBI was called in on October 17th when the possibility of kidnapping was raised. Special Agent David Park, who specialized in missing persons cases, brought federal resources to bear on what was becoming one of the most puzzling disappearances in California history. Agent Park's investigation was exhaustive and unprecedented in its scope. Marcus's background was thoroughly examined through interviews with over 200 individuals who had known him throughout his life. The investigation revealed no enemies, no debts, no personal problems that might explain a voluntary disappearance. His relationships with family, friends, and colleagues were uniformly positive, painted by everyone as a young man of extraordinary integrity and intellectual passion. The FBI conducted psychological evaluations based on extensive interviews with Marcus's associates. Dr. Sarah Coleman, a forensic psychologist specializing in missing persons cases, created a comprehensive profile of Marcus's mental state leading up to his disappearance. Marcus Chen represents the absolute opposite of someone likely to disappear voluntarily, Dr. Coleman reported to Agent Park. He was deeply connected to his family, passionate about his work, and on the verge of what could have been the most significant scientific discovery of the century. Every psychological indicator suggests a person who was fully engaged with life and excited about the future. The investigation expanded to include Marcus's academic work in unprecedented detail. Agent Park brought in Dr. Richard Steinberg, a theoretical physicist from MIT, to evaluate Marcus's research and determine whether his work might have attracted unwanted attention from foreign governments or private interests seeking to exploit advanced physics research. Dr. Steinberg spent weeks analyzing Marcus's published papers, his private research notes, and his correspondence with colleagues around the world. What he found was both impressive and troubling. Marcus wasn't just studying gravitational anomalies, Dr. Steinberg explained to the FBI team. He was developing a unified field theory that could revolutionize our understanding of physics. His mathematical models suggest possibilities for manipulating space-time that go far beyond anything we currently consider achievable. If these theories are correct, they could lead to technologies like faster-than-light travel, time manipulation, and dimensional engineering. The implications were staggering. If Marcus had indeed been close to breakthrough discoveries in fundamental physics, his disappearance took on new dimensions of significance. Was it possible that his research had attracted attention from sources beyond conventional human interests? Agent Park also investigated the possibility of international espionage. Marcus's work had potential military applications that would be invaluable to any nation seeking technological superiority. The FBI contacted intelligence agencies around the world, checking for any indication that Marcus might have been recruited or abducted by foreign powers. The investigation revealed several interesting contacts in Marcus's recent communications. He had been corresponding with Dr. Yuki Tanaka at the Tokyo Institute of Technology, Dr. Elena Volkov at the Russian Academy of Sciences, and Dr. Ahmed Hassan at the European Space Agency. All of these scientists were working on related research into exotic physics phenomena. Each of these international contacts was thoroughly investigated. Dr. Tanaka had been collaborating with Marcus on mathematical models of quantum gravity. Dr. Volkov was studying similar gravitational anomalies using data from Russian space telescopes. Dr. Hassan was part of a European consortium investigating the possibility of detecting extraterrestrial intelligence through gravitational wave analysis. All three scientists expressed genuine concern about Marcus's disappearance and provided full cooperation with the investigation. Their correspondence with Marcus showed only legitimate scientific collaboration, with no indication of anything that might have placed him in danger. However, the investigation did reveal something intriguing. In the weeks leading up to his disappearance, Marcus had been in contact with several amateur astronomers and independent researchers who claimed to have observed unusual phenomena in the same regions of space he was studying. One particularly interesting contact was Dr. Margaret Williams, a retired NASA scientist who had been conducting private research into what she called consciousness-related quantum effects. Dr. Williams had been corresponding with Marcus about the possibility that human consciousness might play a role in quantum mechanical processes on a cosmic scale. Marcus was fascinated by the idea that observation itself might influence quantum events. Dr. Williams told Agent Park during a lengthy interview. He theorized that conscious observation by intelligent beings could actually affect the behavior of matter and energy across vast distances. It sounds like science fiction, but the mathematics were compelling. Dr. Williams revealed that Marcus had been planning to test these theories during his Mount Wilson observation session. He believed that by focusing his conscious attention on the gravitational anomalies while simultaneously measuring them with instruments, he might be able to detect correlations between conscious observation and quantum effects. He called it consciousness-mediated astronomy, Dr. Williams explained. The idea was that the act of conscious observation might actually enhance the phenomena he was trying to study, creating a feedback loop between mind and matter that could amplify the gravitational effects. This revelation added a new dimension to the investigation. If Marcus had indeed been experimenting with consciousness-related quantum effects, his disappearance might have been the result of some kind of unexpected interaction between his mental state and the cosmic phenomena he was studying. Marcus was the last person who would just walk away from his life, Dr. Morgan told Agent Park during an interview. He was passionate about his research, close to his family, and on the verge of making discoveries that could win him a Nobel Prize. He had everything to live for and no reason to disappear. Financial records showed no unusual activity in Marcus's accounts before his disappearance. His credit cards hadn't been used since he purchased gas on his way to Mount Wilson. His cell phone had been found in his car in the observatory parking lot, with no unusual calls or messages in the days leading up to his disappearance. The astronomical data that Marcus had been collecting became a crucial part of the investigation. Dr. Morgan analyzed the recordings with a team of experts from Caltech and NASA, trying to understand what Marcus had been observing in his final moments. The astronomical data that Marcus had been collecting became a crucial part of the investigation, but it also opened entirely new areas of scientific inquiry that challenged the fundamental assumptions of modern physics. Dr. Morgan analyzed the recordings with a team of experts from Caltech, NASA, the European Space Agency, and the SETI Institute, trying to understand what Marcus had been observing in his final moments. What they found was extraordinary and deeply disturbing to the scientific establishment. The data showed gravitational fluctuations unlike anything ever recorded by terrestrial instruments, but more importantly, it revealed patterns that suggested intelligent manipulation of the fundamental forces of nature. Dr. Morgan worked with Dr. Alan Guth from MIT, the physicist who had developed the theory of cosmic inflation, to analyze the gravitational readings. Their conclusion was that the measurements indicated controlled manipulation of space-time curvature on a scale that would require technology millions of years more advanced than anything humanity could imagine. These readings suggest that something was actively modifying the fundamental constants of physics, Dr. Guth reported to the investigating team. According to our understanding of relativity, gravitational constants don't change. They're literally the foundation of how space-time works. But Marcus's instruments recorded variations of up to 15% in the gravitational field strength over a period of 12 minutes. Even more puzzling was the precision of the manipulations. Rather than chaotic fluctuations, the gravitational changes followed complex mathematical sequences that corresponded to advanced equations in theoretical physics. Dr. Morgan recognized some of the patterns as relating to Marcus's own work on dimensional mathematics. It's as if something was using the fundamental forces of physics as a communication medium, Dr. Morgan explained to Agent Park. The gravitational fluctuations weren't random. They were encoding information using mathematical principles that Marcus would have recognized and understood. The team brought in Dr. Frank Drake, the founder of the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, to evaluate whether the patterns might represent some form of extraterrestrial communication. Dr. Drake's analysis revealed that the gravitational fluctuations contained embedded information encoded at multiple levels of complexity. This is unlike any natural phenomena we've ever observed, Dr. Drake concluded. The patterns show clear signs of intelligent design, but they're encoded in the fabric of space-time itself, rather than in electromagnetic radiation like traditional radio signals. If this is communication from an extraterrestrial intelligence, it represents a level of technological sophistication that exceeds our wildest speculation. The international scientific community was split between those who accepted the data as genuine evidence of advanced intelligence and those who insisted that some form of equipment malfunction or data corruption must explain the impossible readings. The debate became so intense that it threatened to divide the astronomy community into opposing factions. Dr. Stephen Hawking, the renowned theoretical physicist, was consulted about the implications of the Mount Wilson data. His analysis supported the conclusion that the measurements represented genuine gravitational manipulations, but he warned about the dangers of assuming extraterrestrial involvement. If these measurements are accurate, Dr. O. Hawking stated in a carefully worded report, they indicate the presence of technology that could manipulate the fundamental structure of reality itself. Any intelligence capable of such feats would be so far beyond human comprehension that contact with them could be either the greatest opportunity or the greatest threat in human history. The data analysis also revealed temporal anomalies that suggested the gravitational effects were not bound by conventional causality. Some of the recorded fluctuations appeared to precede their apparent causes, as if the phenomena were operating outside normal space-time relationships. Dr. Kip Thorne from Caltech, one of the world's leading experts on gravitational physics, worked with Dr. Morgan to understand these temporal inconsistencies. Their analysis suggested that the gravitational manipulations were being conducted from outside the normal flow of time, possibly from a higher dimensional perspective that allowed for retroactive causality. The mathematics suggest that whoever or whatever was conducting these manipulations exists in a framework where past, present, and future are equally accessible, Dr. Thorne explained. They could literally reach backward and forward through time to coordinate their activities across different temporal periods. This revelation added new urgency to the investigation. If Marcus had encountered beings capable of manipulating time itself, conventional search and rescue methods would be completely inadequate. He might be lost not just in space, but in time as well. The team also discovered that the gravitational effects had not been confined to the immediate vicinity of the Cygnus region. Subtle but measurable fluctuations had been detected by gravitational wave detectors around the world, suggesting that the phenomena had influenced spacetime across vast distances. Dr. Joseph Weber's Gravitational Wave Research Group at the University of Maryland confirmed that their instruments had detected anomalous readings during the same 12-minute period when Marcus's equipment recorded the gravitational fluctuations. Similar confirmations came from research groups in Japan, Germany, and Australia. Whatever happened that night affected the gravitational field of the entire solar system, Dr. Weber reported. The effects were strongest in the direction of Cygnus, but we detected ripples throughout local spacetime. It's as if someone had thrown a stone into a cosmic pond, creating waves that spread across the entire region of space containing our solar system. It's almost as if something was responding to Marcus's observations, she explained to Agent Park. The gravitational anomaly became active precisely when Marcus began his measurements, reached maximum intensity at 2:03 a.m., exactly when his notebook entries stopped, and then gradually decreased over the following hours. The investigation expanded to include experts in theoretical physics and advanced mathematics, but none could provide a conventional explanation for the recorded phenomena. The data was verified and re-verified, subjected to every possible test for equipment malfunction or data corruption. The measurements were genuine. Something impossible had indeed occurred in the Cygnus region on the night Marcus disappeared. Search efforts continued for weeks, covering hundreds of square miles of rugged mountain terrain around Mount Wilson. Search dogs, helicopters with thermal imaging equipment, and teams of volunteers combed through every possible hiding place. No trace of Marcus was ever found. The case attracted international attention when details of the astronomical measurements were leaked to the scientific community. The story of the missing astronomer and the impossible gravitational readings became the subject of intense debate among physicists and astronomers worldwide. Some scientists dismissed the data as equipment malfunction or measurement error, refusing to accept that the fundamental laws of physics could be violated. Others proposed exotic explanations involving black holes, wormholes, or other extreme cosmic phenomena that might account for the observed effects. A few researchers, however, began investigating the possibility that Marcus had actually discovered evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence operating on a cosmic scale. The precision and complexity of the gravitational manipulations suggested technology far beyond human capabilities, operated by intelligences that could literally rewrite the laws of physics at will. Dr. SETI researcher Dr. Emily Watson joined the investigation 3 months after Marcus's disappearance, bringing expertise in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Her analysis of the Mount Wilson data revealed patterns that resembled mathematical communication protocols, as if the gravitational fluctuations were actually a form of message encoded in the fabric of space-time itself. If this data is genuine, Dr. Watson reported, then Marcus may have made first contact with an intelligence so advanced that their technology appears indistinguishable from magic. The question isn't whether they exist, but whether Marcus somehow made contact with them, and what happened to him as a result. The Marcus Chen case was officially designated as unsolved after 6 months of intensive investigation. The FBI maintained an open file, but active search efforts were suspended due to lack of leads. The astronomical data remained unexplained, filed away as one of the most significant scientific mysteries of the modern era. The impact on Marcus's family was devastating. His parents, Dr. James and Dr. Liu Wei-chen, struggled to accept that their brilliant son had simply vanished without explanation. They hired private investigators, consulted psychics, and traveled around the world following up on reported sightings, but nothing ever came of these efforts. Dr. Morgan continued Marcus's research, driven by a conviction that understanding the gravitational anomalies might provide clues to his disappearance. She established a monitoring program that tracked the 17 locations Marcus had identified, watching for any recurrence of the phenomena he had observed. For 8 years, the monitors detected nothing unusual. The anomalous regions remained quiet, showing no signs of the gravitational distortions that had been recorded on the night Marcus vanished. The scientific community gradually moved on to other mysteries, and Marcus Chen became another unsolved disappearance, remembered primarily by his family and a few dedicated colleagues. But on October 15, 2009, exactly 8 years after Marcus's disappearance, something extraordinary happened at Mount Wilson Observatory. The same telescope that Marcus had been using on the night he vanished suddenly activated on its own, automatically pointing itself toward the Cygnus region and beginning a complex series of observations. Robert Hayes, now the observatory's senior supervisor, was working alone that night when the telescope's computer systems came alive without any human input. Alarms sounded as the massive instrument began moving under its own control, tracking across the sky with precise, purposeful movements. "This is impossible," Hayes muttered, racing to the control panel and attempting to regain manual control of the telescope. But the instruments refused to respond to his commands, continuing their automated sequence as if operated by an invisible astronomer. For 3 hours, the telescope conducted a sophisticated observational program, recording data with a precision and complexity that exceeded anything in its normal operational parameters. Then at exactly 2:03 a.m., the precise time when Marcus's notebook entries had ended 8 years earlier, the telescope transmitted a powerful radio signal directly toward Earth. The signal lasted for 12 minutes and contained more information than had ever been transmitted by a terrestrial radio telescope. Embedded within the data were star charts, mathematical formulas, and what appeared to be a detailed analysis of cosmic phenomena beyond current human understanding. But most shocking of all, buried within the complex astronomical data, was a personal message recorded in Marcus Chen's voice. "This is Marcus Chen, transmitting from coordinates that don't exist on any Earth-based mapping system. If you're receiving this signal, it means the communication protocols I've been developing have finally succeeded in bridging the dimensional gap. I want my family and colleagues to know that I'm alive and well, though I'm no longer operating within the same space-time framework as Earth. On the night I disappeared from Mount Wilson, I made contact with an intelligence that exists on a scale we never imagined possible. They aren't extraterrestrial in the conventional sense. They're what you might call extra-dimensional, beings who exist across multiple universes simultaneously. The gravitational anomalies I was studying were actually communication beacons, attempts by these entities to make contact with emerging civilizations. When I successfully decoded one of their signals that night, they offered me an opportunity to join their research community, to study the universe from a perspective that transcends the limitations of single-dimensional existence. I chose to go with them, though I understand now that the decision meant leaving behind everything and everyone I loved on Earth. The work we're doing here is incredible. We're mapping the fundamental structure of reality itself, understanding how consciousness and physics interrelate on a cosmic scale. But I miss home every day, and I've spent 8 years of subjective time learning how to send this message back to you. Tell my parents that I love them, and that the curiosity they fostered in me led to discoveries beyond their wildest dreams. Tell Dr. Morgan that her support made all of this possible, and that she should continue monitoring the 17 locations I identified. The entities I'm working with want to gradually introduce humanity to the larger cosmic community, but it has to be done slowly. Carefully. The data I'm transmitting contains the mathematical keys to understanding dimensional physics and gravitational manipulation. Use it wisely. Humanity isn't ready for direct contact yet, but you're getting close. Keep watching the stars, keep asking questions, and remember that the universe is far stranger and more wonderful than we ever imagined. This will probably be my last communication with Earth for many years. The energy required to bridge dimensional barriers is enormous, and I can only attempt this kind of transmission during specific cosmic alignments. But know that I'm happy, that I'm contributing to something larger than myself, and that someday, maybe not in your lifetimes, but someday, we'll meet again when humanity is ready to join the larger community of consciousness that exists throughout the cosmos. Give my love to everyone who knew me. Tell them that Marcus Chen is still exploring the universe, just on a scale that makes Mount Wilson seem like a child's telescope. Keep looking up. Keep wondering. The answers are out there, waiting for minds brave enough to seek them. This is Marcus Chen, signing off from the space between spaces. Until we meet again, keep the curiosity alive. The transmission ended as abruptly as it had begun, leaving the Mount Wilson staff staring at instruments that had returned to normal operation. The astronomical data filled computer hard drives with information that would take decades to fully analyze and understand. Dr. Morgan arrived at Mount Wilson within hours of being notified about the transmission. As she listened to Marcus's voice emerging from speakers in the same dome where he had vanished 8 years earlier, tears streamed down her face. Her former student was alive, had made the greatest discovery in human history, and was somehow continuing his research on a cosmic scale. He did it, she whispered, staring at the data streaming across computer screens. Marcus actually made contact with an intelligence beyond our understanding, and he's trying to share what he's learned with us. The FBI was notified immediately, and Agent Park, now a senior investigator, reopened the Marcus Chen case with renewed urgency. But this time, the investigation focused not on finding a missing person, but on understanding the implications of what might be humanity's first confirmed contact with an advanced intelligence. The astronomical data transmitted by Marcus proved to be a treasure trove of information about the fundamental structure of the universe, but decoding its full implications required the collaborative efforts of the world's most brilliant scientific minds. Hidden within the complex mathematics were blueprints for technologies that could revolutionize human civilization. Clean energy systems based on gravitational manipulation, faster-than-light communication methods, and theoretical frameworks for accessing alternate dimensions. Dr. Morgan assembled an international team of experts to analyze the data, including Dr. Michio Kaku from City University of New York, Dr. Brian Greene from Columbia University, and Dr. Lisa Randall from Harvard University. Each brought specialized knowledge in different areas of theoretical physics, allowing for a comprehensive analysis of Marcus's transmission. The team discovered that the data was structured in layers of increasing complexity, like a cosmic textbook designed to guide humanity through progressively advanced concepts. The first layer contained solutions to long-standing problems in quantum mechanics and relativity, including a unified field theory that had eluded physicists for decades. The second layer outlined practical applications for these theories, describing technologies for manipulating space-time, gravity, and quantum fields. But it was the third layer that truly staggered the scientific community. It contained detailed instructions for constructing what Marcus called dimensional interface devices, machines that could create stable portals between parallel universes or alternate dimensions. The mathematical descriptions were so precise that they included specifications for exotic materials and energy sources that didn't exist in our current technological framework. Marcus isn't just sharing theoretical knowledge, Dr. Kaku explained to the analysis team. He's providing a roadmap for humanity's technological evolution over the next several centuries, but the information is carefully structured to ensure we develop the necessary scientific foundation before attempting the more dangerous technologies. The energy technologies described in Marcus's data were particularly revolutionary. They involved tapping into what he called zero-point gravitational fields, regions of space where the fabric of reality itself could be used as an energy source. According to the transmitted calculations, a device the size of a coffee cup could generate enough power to supply a major city for years. Dr. Greene focused on analyzing the communication technologies embedded in the data. Marcus had described methods for sending information instantaneously across vast distances using quantum entanglement effects, amplified by gravitational manipulation. These systems would make interstellar communication as simple as making a phone call, revolutionizing humanity's ability to explore and colonize space. The communication protocols Marcus has shared suggest that there's already an established network connecting intelligent civilizations throughout the galaxy, Dr. Green reported. These entities he's working with aren't just advanced, they're part of a cosmic community that spans multiple star systems and possibly multiple dimensions. Dr. Randall examined the dimensional physics described in Marcus's transmission, discovering that he had gained access to what appeared to be a complete mathematical description of multidimensional reality. The data revealed that our universe was just one layer in an infinite hierarchy of parallel realities, each operating according to slightly different physical laws. According to Marcus's data, consciousness itself plays a fundamental role in determining which dimensional layer a being exists within, Dr. Randall explained. Advanced intelligences can apparently shift between dimensional frameworks at will, existing simultaneously in multiple realities and accessing resources and knowledge from across the multidimensional spectrum. The implications for human evolution were staggering. If Marcus's theories were correct, humanity's ultimate destiny involved transcending the limitations of single-dimensional existence and joining a cosmic community of multidimensional beings. But the transition required not just technological advancement, but a fundamental evolution in human consciousness and perception. The data also contained what appeared to be historical information about other civilizations that had made similar transitions. Marcus described species that had evolved from purely physical existence to multidimensional consciousness, over periods ranging from thousands to millions of years. Each civilization had faced similar challenges and opportunities during their evolutionary transition. One particularly fascinating case study involved a civilization from the Vega star system that had achieved multidimensional consciousness approximately 50,000 years ago. According to Marcus's data, this species now served as guides and mentors for younger civilizations attempting the same transition, much like the entities that Marcus was working with. It appears that Marcus has been inducted into a kind of cosmic university, Dr. Morgan observed during one of the team's analysis sessions. These advanced beings don't just share technology, they serve as teachers, helping emerging civilizations develop the wisdom and responsibility necessary to handle multidimensional capabilities. The team also discovered that Marcus's transmission contained subtle references to specific individuals on Earth who might be particularly suited for eventual contact with the multidimensional entities. The criteria seemed to focus on researchers who combined exceptional intellectual capability with strong ethical foundations and the emotional maturity to handle contact with vastly superior intelligences. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, Marcus's former colleague, who had been experiencing the detailed dreams about his research, was specifically mentioned in the data. Marcus had apparently identified her as someone who possessed the necessary combination of scientific knowledge and psychological stability to serve as a bridge between humanity and the multidimensional community. Jennifer's dreams weren't random, subconscious activity, Dr. Morgan realized as she reviewed this section of the data. Marcus has been using the dimensional communication protocols to share advanced concepts with her, preparing her for eventual direct contact. Her mind is being gradually adapted to process multidimensional information. The revelation that Marcus had been selectively sharing information with specific individuals on Earth led to a comprehensive search for other potential contacts. The team identified several researchers around the world who had reported experiences similar to Jennifer's. Vivid dreams containing advanced mathematical concepts, sudden insights into complex physics problems, and intuitive understanding of theoretical frameworks that hadn't been formally developed yet. Dr. Elena Vasquez at the European Space Agency reported experiencing what she called download dreams, where complex equations appeared fully formed in her mind. Dr. Kenji Nakamura at the Tokyo Institute of Technology described similar experiences, along with a growing ability to visualize mathematical relationships in multiple dimensions simultaneously. These individuals were brought together for a special research project designed to explore their enhanced capabilities and determine whether they were indeed receiving information from Marcus and his multidimensional colleagues. The results confirmed that something extraordinary was happening. Each researcher was demonstrating knowledge and insights that exceeded what should have been possible based on their previous education and experience. We're witnessing the early stages of a controlled contact protocol, Dr. Morgan concluded. Marcus and the entities he's working with are gradually introducing advanced concepts to a carefully selected group of Earth researchers, preparing them to serve as intermediaries when broader contact becomes appropriate. The ethical implications of this revelation sparked intense debate within the scientific community. Was it appropriate for an external intelligence to selectively enhance certain humans while leaving others unchanged? What were the long-term consequences of creating a group of individuals with access to vastly superior knowledge and capabilities? Dr. Arthur C. Clarke, the renowned science fiction author and futurist, was consulted about the social implications of Marcus's contact. His analysis warned of potential dangers. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, and magic in the hands of a few inevitably leads to inequality and conflict. If Marcus's entities are indeed sharing advanced knowledge with selected individuals, they must also be providing guidance about how to manage the social and political consequences of such disparities in capability. The International Committee overseeing the analysis of Marcus's data established strict protocols for managing the information and preventing its misuse. Technologies with obvious military applications were classified and restricted to peaceful research applications. Knowledge that could destabilize economic or social systems was released gradually through educational institutions rather than being made immediately available to governments or corporations. Dr. Morgan worked with the United Nations to establish the International Multidimensional Research Council, a body designed to coordinate humanity's response to contact with advanced intelligences and ensure that the benefits of new technologies were shared equitably among all nations and peoples. The Council's first major decision was to establish communication protocols for future contact with Marcus and his multidimensional colleagues. If humanity was being evaluated for eventual inclusion in a cosmic community, it was crucial that our species demonstrate wisdom, cooperation, and ethical maturity in handling the opportunities and challenges of advanced technology. Mount Wilson Observatory was designated as the primary communication site for future contact attempts, with backup facilities established at observatories around the world. The original telescope that Marcus had been using was upgraded with equipment designed according to specifications found in his transmitted data, creating a more sophisticated dimensional interface capability. The first test of the enhanced communication system was scheduled for October 15, 2010, the 9th anniversary of Marcus's disappearance. Researchers from around the world gathered at Mount Wilson to attempt the first deliberately initiated contact with the multidimensional entities, hoping to establish regular communication protocols and learn more about humanity's potential future in the cosmic community. Dr. Watson, the SETI researcher, led the effort to analyze the communication protocols embedded in Marcus's transmission. Her team discovered that the signal had been designed to be received specifically at Mount Wilson, using the same telescope Marcus had been operating on the night he disappeared. It's like he turned the entire Hooker telescope into a dimensional communication device, Dr. Watson explained to the investigation team. The signal wasn't transmitted through normal space. It came through some kind of quantum entanglement bridge that Marcus established 8 years ago. He's been working on this communication system all this time, trying to find a way to send a message back to us. The revelation that Marcus Chen was alive and actively researching in some kind of extra-dimensional space brought both comfort and new questions to his family. Dr. James and Dr. Lu Wei Chen were overjoyed to learn that their son was safe and pursuing the work he loved, but they struggled with the knowledge that he was essentially living in a realm beyond their reach. "At least we know he made the choice freely," Dr. James Chen said during a press conference organized to announce the discovery. Marcus always followed his curiosity wherever it led, even as a child. If he chose to join these entities in their research, it's because he saw an opportunity to learn things that no human has ever known before. The scientific community was divided about how to respond to Marcus's revelations. Some researchers wanted to immediately begin developing the technologies outlined in his data, while others urged caution, pointing out that Marcus himself had suggested humanity wasn't ready for such advanced knowledge. A special committee was established to oversee the gradual release and development of Marcus's information, ensuring that the technologies would be used for peaceful purposes and wouldn't destabilize human civilization. The committee included representatives from major universities, government agencies, and international organizations, all working together to responsibly manage what amounted to a technological leap forward of centuries. Mount Wilson Observatory became a pilgrimage site for astronomers and scientists from around the world, who came to see the telescope that had facilitated humanity's first confirmed contact with an advanced intelligence. The dome where Marcus had disappeared was preserved exactly as it had been on the night of his vanishing, transformed into a monument to human curiosity and scientific courage. Dr. Morgan established the Marcus Chen Institute for Dimensional Physics at Caltech, using funding from governments and private foundations to continue researching the phenomena Marcus had discovered. The institute became the primary center for studying the ongoing implications of Marcus's contact with the extra-dimensional entities. Every year on October 15th, a memorial service was held at Mount Wilson to honor Marcus's contribution to human knowledge and to remember that somewhere in the space between dimensions, a young astronomer from Earth was continuing to explore the universe with the same passion and curiosity that had defined his life. The monitoring stations that Dr. Morgan had established continued watching the 17 anomalous locations Marcus had identified. Gradually, over the years following his transmission, subtle changes began appearing in these regions, gravitational fluctuations that seemed to follow the mathematical patterns Marcus had outlined in his data. It became clear that the extra-dimensional entities were slowly preparing for more extensive contact with humanity, using Marcus's research to establish additional communication channels. But true to Marcus's warning, the process was gradual and carefully controlled, designed to allow human civilization time to develop the scientific and philosophical frameworks necessary to handle such revolutionary contact. In 2015, 6 years after Marcus's transmission, Mount Wilson received another brief signal from the Cygnus region. This time, the message was purely scientific, a set of mathematical formulas that solved several fundamental problems in theoretical physics. But embedded within the data was a simple personal note: still exploring, still learning, still thinking of home. MC. The Marcus Chen story became a symbol of humanity's endless quest for knowledge and understanding. His willingness to venture into the unknown, to risk everything in pursuit of truth, represented the best qualities of human scientific curiosity, and his ongoing work with entities beyond human comprehension suggested that the universe held wonders that science was only beginning to imagine. As technology advanced and human understanding of dimensional physics grew, there was hope that someday direct communication with Marcus might be possible, or even that methods could be developed to allow travel between dimensional frameworks. But until that day, Marcus Chen remained humanity's ambassador to a cosmic community of intelligence, continuing his research on a scale that transformed him from a missing person into a pioneer of human knowledge. The years following Marcus's transmission saw unprecedented advances in human scientific understanding. The technologies described in his data were gradually developed and implemented, leading to revolutionary breakthroughs in energy production, communication, and space exploration. By 2015, the first zero-point energy generators were operational, providing clean, limitless power that began to transform human civilization. The gravitational communication systems Marcus had described were successfully tested in 2017, allowing for instantaneous communication with robotic probes that had been sent to the outer planets. For the first time in human history, real-time communication across the solar system became possible, revolutionizing space exploration and opening new possibilities for human expansion beyond Earth. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, whose enhanced abilities had been identified in Marcus's data, became the director of the new Institute for Multidimensional Studies at Caltech. Under her leadership, the institute became the world's premier center for research into consciousness-assisted physics and dimensional interface technologies. Marcus showed us that the universe is far more interconnected than we ever imagined, Dr. Walsh explained during the Institute's dedication ceremony. Our research now focuses on understanding how consciousness and physics interact on cosmic scales, and how humanity can develop the wisdom necessary to join the community of advanced civilizations that exists throughout the galaxy. The Institute's research produced remarkable results. By studying the enhanced cognitive abilities of individuals who had been contacted by Marcus's dimensional colleagues, researchers began to understand how human consciousness could be expanded to perceive and interact with multidimensional reality. Meditation techniques based on Marcus's transmitted data allowed trained individuals to access what researchers called expanded awareness states, where they could perceive mathematical relationships and physical phenomena that were normally invisible to human senses. These abilities proved crucial for operating the advanced technologies that Marcus had described. Dr. Elena Vasquez led a team at the European Space Agency that successfully constructed the first prototype dimensional interface device in 2019. The machine, built according to specifications found in Marcus's data, was capable of detecting and mapping parallel dimensional layers adjacent to our own reality. The first successful dimensional scan revealed a staggering discovery. Earth existed simultaneously across multiple dimensional layers, each containing slightly different versions of human civilization. Some layers showed humanity that had never developed advanced technology, while others displayed civilizations that had achieved multi-dimensional awareness centuries ago. We're not alone even on our own planet, Dr. Vasquez reported to the International Multidimensional Research Council. Consciousness appears to exist across multiple dimensional layers simultaneously, and advanced beings can apparently access knowledge and resources from all these different versions of reality. The implications for human potential were extraordinary. If consciousness could be trained to access these alternate dimensional layers, humans might be able to tap into the accumulated knowledge and experience of their multidimensional counterparts, essentially gaining access to the wisdom of infinite parallel selves. Marcus's influence extended beyond pure scientific research. His example of choosing to venture into the unknown in pursuit of knowledge inspired a new generation of explorers and researchers who were willing to take extraordinary risks in the service of human understanding. The Marcus Chen Foundation, established by his parents, provided funding for young researchers working on projects that conventional funding agencies considered too speculative or dangerous. Many of the breakthrough discoveries in dimensional physics and consciousness research were supported by foundation grants that allowed brilliant minds to pursue seemingly impossible ideas. Educational curricula around the world were revised to include training in multidimensional thinking and consciousness expansion techniques. Children as young as 8 years old were taught meditation practices that could enhance their ability to perceive mathematical relationships and scientific concepts that had previously been accessible only to highly trained specialists. Marcus's legacy isn't just the scientific knowledge he shared, Dr. Morgan observed during a symposium celebrating the 20th anniversary of his transmission. He showed us that human consciousness itself is capable of far greater development than we had ever imagined. He transformed our understanding not just of the universe, but of ourselves. The monitoring stations that Dr. Morgan had established continued tracking the 17 anomalous locations Marcus had identified, but their purpose had evolved. Rather than simply watching for gravitational anomalies, they now served as communication nodes in an expanding network that connected Earth to the broader cosmic community. Regular communication with Marcus became possible by 2020, though the messages remained brief and carefully structured. He reported that his research with the multidimensional entities was progressing well, and that humanity's development was exceeding the expectations of the cosmic community. "You're learning faster than most species do during their transition phase," Marcus communicated during one of the regular contact sessions. "The combination of intellectual curiosity and ethical awareness that characterizes the best of humanity is relatively rare among emerging civilizations. You're being watched with great interest by beings throughout this region of the galaxy." The most remarkable development came in 2022 when Dr. Walsh successfully achieved temporary multidimensional consciousness using techniques developed from Marcus's data. For a period of several hours, she was able to perceive reality from a perspective that transcended single-dimensional existence, experiencing the universe as Marcus and his colleagues did. Her description of the experience provided humanity's first direct glimpse of what multidimensional existence might be like. It's impossible to describe adequately using language designed for single-dimensional thinking. Imagine being able to see every possible version of yourself across infinite parallel realities, to access the accumulated knowledge and experience of countless other civilizations, to perceive the fundamental mathematical structures that underlie all existence. It's simultaneously overwhelming and profoundly peaceful, like finally understanding the cosmic joke that the universe has been trying to tell us all along. Dr. Walsh's successful transition demonstrated that humans were indeed capable of evolving beyond their current limitations. The techniques she used were carefully documented and shared with research centers around the world, beginning the gradual process of preparing humanity for eventual multidimensional existence. The telescope at Mount Wilson still points toward the stars each night, but it now serves a purpose that its original designers could never have imagined. Rather than simply observing distant celestial objects, it functions as a communication hub connecting Earth to a cosmic network of intelligence that spans multiple dimensions and star systems. Robert Hayes, now retired but still living near the observatory, often visits the dome where Marcus disappeared so many years ago. He serves as an unofficial historian of the events that transformed humanity's understanding of its place in the universe, sharing his memories with the thousands of visitors who come to Mount Wilson to see where human contact with advanced intelligence first began. "I still remember that night like it was yesterday," Hayes often tells visitors. "I knew Marcus was special, but I never imagined that his curiosity would open the door to a cosmic community we never knew existed. He proved that the most important discoveries come from minds brave enough to ask dangerous questions and follow them wherever they lead." The International Space Program has been revolutionized by technologies derived from Marcus's data. Human settlements now exist throughout the solar system, supported by gravitational manipulation systems that make interplanetary travel as routine as international flights had been in the early 21st century. Plans are underway for the first human expedition to nearby star systems using faster-than-light propulsion based on dimensional interface technology. The mission will attempt to make physical contact with the civilizations that Marcus has been studying, representing humanity's first step toward active participation in the galactic community. As humanity prepares for this cosmic coming of age, Marcus Chen's story serves as a reminder that the universe is far stranger and more wonderful than human imagination had ever conceived. His willingness to venture into the unknown transformed not just scientific understanding but human destiny itself. The young astronomer who vanished from Mount Wilson Observatory in 2001 had indeed made the greatest discovery in human history. But more than that, he had shown that the boundaries of human potential were far more flexible than anyone had believed, and that consciousness itself might be the key to unlocking the infinite possibilities that exist throughout the cosmos. Marcus's final message to Earth, transmitted in 2024, captured the essence of what he had learned during his journey beyond dimensional boundaries. The universe is not just stranger than we imagine, it's more wonderful than we dare to hope. Every question leads to greater mysteries. Every answer opens new horizons of possibility. Humanity's greatest adventure is just beginning, and the cosmos is waiting to welcome you home. Keep exploring, keep wondering, keep reaching for the impossible. The stars are only the beginning. And in observatories around the world, astronomers continue to point their telescopes toward the heavens, knowing that they're not just studying distant objects, but participating in a cosmic conversation that connects all intelligent life throughout the infinite dimensions of reality. Marcus Chen had shown them the way, and humanity was finally ready to follow him into the vast, wonderful mystery that awaited among the stars.